Hi, and welcome to an excerpt from my recent members post on the strong Gemini influences and the outer planetary action we're experiencing at this time. In this section, I'm going to dissect the Gemini new moon that we had on the 27th of May. Now, Mercury, this ruler of Gemini, has moved into Gemini just a day before that Gemini new moon, and it's in orb of this new moon, and this new moon is in orb of that operational triangle between all of these dynamic triple conjunctions. It's a wider orb to be sure, but it is present. Now, Mercury is bringing this new moon in orb of these slower outer planets, which have a deeper, more long-term influence. Now, the closest connection here is the trine to Pluto retrograde. So remember, back to the 27th of May, how your mind was making you feel and how your feelings were impacting your mind. This is about some renewing, transformation of the connection to your own brain and your mindfulness, your consciousness, of the sheer power with Pluto of your mind and your mental state, and perhaps some kind of ending or transformation of your mentality and your self stories, but also possibly of some of the people and some of the connections in your life. Now, remember, the moon is about your well-being, your needs, your inner emotional world, your sense of belonging. And if the connections and communications around you do not align with this, the trine to Pluto retrograde and the initiatory force of the new moon is perhaps a new beginning around these connections, which places you more firmly in your own power. Now, with the ingresses and conjunctions of these outer planets in Aries with Saturn, Neptune, and Ceres, all of these openings and beginnings in terms of your passions, your desires, your personal dreams, your personal goals, it's now connected to Gemini in a new way of thinking, a new mentality, and new stories. Now, Mercury here is giving a deliberate consciousness of how you think, how your mindset creates and directs your life. And there is a new there's new brain waves coming through, and it's from the deep because Sedna is involved here, and with Pluto retrograde trining this, it's through being able to shed the deepest cycles of outdated ways, shed dead weight, shed old skins, and old stories of hurt or pain that have played their part, but which now serve no purpose anymore. And Mercury is conjunct this new moon, and it goes on to perfect its superior conjunction to the Sun on the 30th of May. And that's a significant part of Mercury's cycle. So this is an illumination with the Sun of the mind with Mercury and Gemini. This is about connection, ideas, an integration of the healthy ego with the Sun and the compelling power of the mind. And it's an illumination of the deep, and any deep old self-stories coming from hurts coming up. Mercury is giving you the ability to comprehend and synthesize all of this, to be able to move through it, to shed it. And that's where this new beginning is now launching from. This could literally be the light bulb turning on, the changing of perspective, seeing with new eyes. And this is what propels any new starts here at the new moon and into the energies of the month and even the year. Because as I've said, these outer planets are in play for an extended period of time. And the initiations and openings of awareness at this new moon during this time frame here, with these multiple triple conjunctions in play with that minor grand trine, this is the opening time. This is the time of choice, the time of shedding duality, and taking that Aries assuredness to mark the first words of the new chapter and to take that step. And the other thing that is prominent on the new moon day is the first conjunction of 3 between Chiron and Eris at 25 degrees of Aries. Now, this is the other triple conjunction that I mentioned before, because we also have Venus coming through here, planet of love, attraction, worth, and relationship. She will be conjunct these points on the 2nd of June. She's in orb at the time of this lunation as well. Now, Chiron in Aries is about the identity wound, the healing and acceptance of your sense of self, the who am I question, which could be causing you pain, and the way your confidence or your capability in asserting yourself has been hindered, whether internally or externally. Now, Chiron is the bridge to healing and acceptance through this, and it's not an easy journey. Eris in Aries represents the discord within self. With Aries, it's the self. This is the part of your true self that have been shunned, ignored, even parts that have been shamed. This can either be by others or by your own self. The thing with Eris is that she fights back. Now, she's known as the counterpart to Mars, god of war. She shows what is in chaos, in discord, in disharmony. She doesn't create it. She shows that it's there. So similar to Mars, she is activating or triggering. Blended in a conjunction with this healer, Chiron, on the day of the new moon, there's a new outlook on the pain to be healed, a new perspective on wounds that have been holding you back from being your true self and from having confidence, self-confidence, self-belief. There's a new knowing of this. And with Chiron comes acceptance. That's the key to the way Chiron heals. It's not through moving past and shedding with Chiron. It's through the acceptance that it's there, that it's happening, that the wound is present and part of you, part of your experience. And the acceptance and the wisdom and experience through this is the healing. And the scar and the memory might not disappear entirely, but the acceptance of it is what helps the healing. And with Eris, there's a healing of the discord, the acceptance of any parts of you that have been shunned, that have been ignored. And then when Venus comes through, she brings in the love, self-love in Aries. She knows how abundant you are when you holistically accept all parts of you and lead your own life from your heart. This could also represent some kind of healing of discord in relationships, even of a balancing of disharmony in finances. Especially Venus brings in a brave sense of self-worth here as well. So whatever, with this new moon, new mentality, whatever new ways of thinking, new connections, new perspectives, new chapters, it's certainly tied into that brave, holistic sense of self, especially with that other Aries connection we have here with the Saturn-Neptune series. It's also coinciding with the brave sense of self-love and a healing of the discord within, by acceptance of the repressed parts of you. Okay, we've got a double whammy of Aries occurring on this new moon here. And the new moon itself is really epitomizing all the convergent energies of this time period with the Aries to Gemini interactions, and the echoes of this time are continuing throughout this year into the next, because Uranus will be entering Gemini to form this minor grand trine all over again down the line. More on that later. But it's why this time period is quite significant, and the choices made now, if in alignment with your true inner self, will be so empowering and transformational with Pluto, evolutionary with Sedna, revolutionary when Uranus comes through, gratifying and rewarding with Saturn, as well as with Neptune. It's highly spiritual, whatever spirituality means to you, in terms of understanding your own frequency and your own energy. So it's a jolly cocktail of outer planets, and the Gemini energy is nothing if not a mixologist, which is really helpful now in terms of being conscious of all the parts of you and the parts of yourself and the parts of your life, but seeing it as a whole dynamic, interactive entity without exclusion, without a dualistic mindset. So don't underestimate the significance of the time period, and anything you can consciously choose now to empower yourself and take the reins on your own life will have important implications and ongoing effects in the future. So I'm just going to go to a very quick and very apt tarot reading of this Gemini new moon. And we've got the Sage of Wands here, which is the traditional King of Wands, and the Four of Pentacles. This deck is the Tarot for All Ages by Elizabeth Hadel, which I like for Gemini season because it has a real storybook feel to it. Now, the Sage of Wands, it's the leadership, the magnetism, the boldness that comes with having complete self-assurance and confidence in your own sense of self and your own capability. If only we could all have this all the time. The Sage embodies all aspects of the suit of fire, which is understanding the destructive force of getting in too hot, being too overconfident, or overcompensating with a massive ego presence. And it also understands the utter, compelling, creative force of the personal will. This is a message to embody this understanding, to take the lead, to be your own sage, to be your own monarch. And here in this card, the sage is turning away from the house of stability and convention, represented by the Four of Pentacles here. Now, there's beams of light emanating from the face of the sage, and it's like the force of his own creative powers, the force of his own energy. It's emanating out to create life. It looks like the light is coming from his third eye. That's what I see, which is very Neptune in Aries. So it's using the intuition of both fire and Neptune to create your life, to forge the way forward. And it's coming from a place of security with the Four of Pentacles here. Now, this can be read in multiple ways, as can any card reading. But the sage is here either supported by his sense of worth, sense of security and value, supported by a trust and a practicality here. And remember, with Saturn, even though Saturn's in Aries, that's what this is. This combination of the King of Wands and the Four of Pentacles, it's Saturn in Aries. And Saturn's interacting with the new moon and the planets in Gemini. And whilst Saturn's in fiery, passionate, highly activating Aries, Saturn is about structure, discipline, mastery. And this is saying that amongst the potentially exciting new developments, it's maintenance of self, Saturn in Aries, that is going to be vital for success. So the force of your will, the force of your passion here, represented by the Sage of Wands, it needs a channel, it needs a container, and it needs work. So this is building with Saturn and the Four of Pentacles, your passions and your dreams here with the Aries energy and the Wands. Now, the Four of Pentacles can also represent stinginess, inflexibility, self-preservation, and there may be some kind of stifling energy going on here, whether that's self-imposed, situational, or otherwise, even some kind of a restriction on wanting to express your energies freely, express your passions freely. There could be a lack of material self-care here because the Sage is facing away from this Four of Pentacles, but if you look closer at this card, at the Four of Pentacles, you'll see that the house here is actually a rocket. Perhaps it's an uncompleted rocket, a work in progress. I mean, it looks like it's scaffolding underneath. So that certainly represents the building and the rising of these astrological energies that are entering new signs and starting new things, or it's a metaphor here. And the structure and self-maintenance in your life is what is going to launch you in your success, launch you in your abundance. And Saturn says, channel your passions effectively, blend the brilliant ideas and solutions with Gemini, with that passion from Aries, with dedication, discipline, time, and work with Saturn. And that combination, the force of that combination is what's going to propel you forward so powerfully that it'll be like a rocket pioneering upwards into space, into infinite potential on your own terms by dint of your own mastery. So thanks so much for listening. You can find the complete forecast over on my Patreon, maybe my Substack if I get that up and running coming soon. I hope you're enjoying the stimulating energy of Gemini season, and I'll see you in my next podcast video. Bye.